Listen closely because we need to have a profound and utterly serious conversation about what happens the moment the air snaps after a fight with your wife. You, the man, the builder, the provider, are sitting there in silence, waiting. Waiting for her to come around, waiting for the smoke to clear, waiting for the magical moment when she realizes her part in the chaos. And I'm telling you, straight and cold, she won't make peace first. She absolutely will not. You can wait until your hair turns gray, until the dog learns to fly, until the sun rises in the west, and you will still be waiting. This is a foundational reality that 98% of men fundamentally fail to grasp, and this failure is the slow, silent poison killing your relationship. You see it everywhere online, don't you? The saccharine relationship experts with their perfect smiles and their terrible, damaging advice. They tell you the same garbage. Just apologize. Be the bigger person. Show her you're strong enough to admit you're wrong. They package this weakness as strength, selling you the lie that crawling on your knees is somehow the sign of a real man. Every time I hear this, I have to wonder if these people have ever actually been in a real, long-term relationship, or if they're just repeating platitudes they heard in therapy sessions. They are selling you a one-way ticket to doormat city. I remember when I was younger, maybe 28, 29, dating a beautiful, passionate woman. We'd have the smallest disagreements. I'd forget to call, I was 5 minutes late, and my immediate, conditioned response was to apologize. Not because I genuinely thought I was wrong every single time, but because I was programmed to believe this was the mechanism for peace. This was how you kept a woman happy. You grovel, you bring flowers, you promise to do better, and the drama stops. For a while, it worked. We'd make up. The tension would dissolve, and the passionate make-up sex made the submission feel almost worthwhile. But then, almost imperceptibly, something began to shift. The fights became more frequent, the reasons became more trivial, more ridiculous. She'd escalate a mild disagreement about a restaurant choice into a 3-day silent treatment. Once, she became furious because I liked an entirely innocuous photo of a colleague's vacation on social media. I didn't see it then, but every apology I gave, every flower I bought, was a reinforcement mechanism. I was training her like Pavlov with his dogs. I was teaching her that being offended equals receiving submission from me, that throwing a tantrum equals getting attention, apologies, and gifts. I was literally, with my own hands, constructing a monster of emotional manipulation. When you constantly apologize for things that are not legitimately your fault, you are not demonstrating love or care. You are demonstrating submission. And let me ask you a crucial question. When was the last time you saw a woman stay deeply, viscerally attracted to a man she could control completely? Never. It simply does not happen. Women don't fantasize about the man who instantly says, "Yes, dear," "Sorry, dear," "You're right, dear," to every whim. They fantasize about the man who has a backbone, who stands his ground, who has his own internal compass, and who doesn't crumble at the first sign of her displeasure. Here is the difference that will change your perspective entirely. There is an immense difference between showing you care and showing submission. When you truly care, you make an effort to see her, you drive 3 hours for one night together, you remember the little details she loves, you initiate experiences, you show desire. That is the language of a confident man. Apologizing every time she gets her feelings hurt over trivialities is the language of a supplicant. I knew a man, married 7 years, and for 7 years he apologized for everything. His wife would get upset, he would apologize. She would create drama from thin air, he would apologize. She literally invented problems just to watch him scramble to fix them. And what happened? She left him. Not for some rough-and-tumble bad boy, but for a man who simply refused to play the game. After the divorce, my friend was devastated, constantly repeating, "But I always apologized. I always tried to make peace. I never let conflicts last long." And I had to tell him the brutal truth. That is exactly why she left you. You turned yourself into a doormat, and nobody respects a doormat. They just walk on it. To regain control, you must understand what is actually happening in a woman's mind during these conflicts. Women possess an incredible emotional memory. They don't just remember the events, they remember the feeling of those events. When you apologize immediately after every conflict, she records a victorious pattern. I got upset, he apologized, I won. This pattern becomes literally addictive, a kind of drug. The drama releases adrenaline, the victory releases dopamine. Your submission is a hit of power that she quickly becomes dependent on. Like any addiction, she needs more and more stimulus to achieve the same high, so the conflicts escalate. What started as being upset about you being 5 minutes late quickly morphs into full-blown warfare over you breathing wrong. But here is the real key. The part that will truly blow your mind. Most of the time, the conflict has nothing to do with the stated issue. When she's furious because you didn't notice her new earrings, it's not about the earrings. When she manufactures drama because you went out with your friends, it's not really about your friends. These moments are tests. They are constant, relentless pressure tests to see if you are still the man she committed to, or if you've become just another easily controllable, agreeable man. I stumbled upon this truth by sheer accident. I was dating an incredibly successful, beautiful woman, the kind of woman who had men lined up around the block. She started one of her manufactured dramas over choosing the wrong restaurant. I was exhausted from a massive work project, dealing with a splitting headache, and when she started the escalation, I simply stopped. I looked at her calmly and said, "Listen, if you don't like the restaurant, we can go somewhere else, but I'm not going to apologize for trying to take you somewhere nice." I made a decision. If you don't like it, make a better suggestion, but stop with the drama. She was utterly shocked, staring at me like I'd just grown a second head. Then she did something completely unexpected. She laughed. She actually laughed and said, "Finally, there you are. I was wondering where the real you went." In that moment, I understood everything. All the drama, all the tests, she was desperately looking for me to show backbone, to stop being so damn agreeable, to assert myself. She didn't want apologies. She wanted strength. Let me be crystal clear, because I know the critics will distort this. I am not talking about genuine mistakes. If you cheat, if you lie about something significant, if you genuinely hurt her feelings, you absolutely must acknowledge and correct the behavior. But that is fundamentally different from apologizing every time she decides to be emotionally offended by something trivial. Real issues require responsibility. Manufactured drama requires composure. The vast majority of relationship conflicts, we're talking 90%, come from her inflating a triviality into a major issue. Why? Sometimes she's genuinely bored and drama creates excitement. Sometimes, as we said, she's testing your strength. Sometimes she's been watching romantic movies where passionate fights lead to passionate sex, and she wants that high. Regardless of the why, you must understand the chemistry involved. When conflict hits, our bodies release a flood of chemicals: adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol. These chemicals hijack our rational thought. They make you say things you don't mean, make promises you can't keep, and apologize for things that aren't your fault, all in a desperate bid to end the chemical discomfort. Your secret weapon is composure. If you can keep those stress chemicals from flooding your system, you maintain control of the situation. You can observe clearly, is this a real issue that needs addressing, or is this manufactured theater that needs to be shut down? I learned this, of all places, from a nature documentary about wolves. When two wolves clash in the pack, the alpha doesn't immediately fight or submit. He stands his ground, calm, observant, waiting to see if it's a real challenge or just posturing. Most of the time, it's posturing, and the alpha's calm confidence is enough to diffuse it. The same principle applies here. When she initiates drama, do not react immediately. Take a deep breath, count to 10 internally, and let her intensity wash over you without affecting your core state. What actually works after a fight is not groveling, not flowers, and not desperate promises to change. What works is demonstrating through action that you are still the man worth being with. You continue to be excellent at your work. You continue your hobbies. You continue taking care of your physique and your interests. You show her that her drama does not have the power to destroy you, to control you, or to define your life. I remember another time when a woman I was living with gave me the silent treatment for a day over some forgotten transgression. The old me would have stalked the apartment, begging for forgiveness. Instead, I went to the gym, had a great workout, came back, cooked myself a fantastic dinner, and started working on a complex project. When she finally broke the silence and angrily asked, "Aren't you even going to ask what's wrong?" I looked up, calm and centered, and said, "When you're ready to talk like an adult, I'm here. Until then, I have things to do." The fight ended right there. She realized her tantrum was not achieving the desired submission, and more importantly, she saw that I was perfectly fine without her drama. This quiet self-sufficiency is intensely attractive to women, a man who is the master of his own emotional stability. Let's dive deeper into the chemistry. When someone is genuinely hurt, the chemical cocktail involves oxytocin and vasopressin, chemicals related to bonding. When someone is manufacturing drama, it involves more dopamine and adrenaline, chemicals related to excitement and reward. When you constantly apologize, you are feeding the dopamine cycle. She gets a hit every time you submit, reinforcing the addiction. When you refuse to play, when you withhold that dopamine hit, she might initially escalate, like any addict whose fix is cut off. This is the moment most men fail. They panic and apologize even harder. This is exactly when you must hold your ground, not by being cruel, but by being firmly unavailable for the drama. I understand you're upset. When you are ready to discuss this calmly, I am here, and then you literally go do something else. Interestingly, women respect this behavior deep down. They don't want a man they can manipulate with an emotional outburst. They want a man who is a stable center in their emotional storms. When you maintain your composure during her tempest, you are demonstrating the attractive quality of emotional leadership. But you must also understand the dynamic of acknowledgement versus apology. If you genuinely messed up, say you were late for a flight you both needed to catch, you don't apologize and grovel. You acknowledge and correct. "You're right, I should have planned my time better. I will ensure I am ready 30 minutes earlier next time." The difference is immense. One is submission, the other is taking responsibility. Women respect responsibility. They despise groveling. To truly make peace, you must stop rewarding the negative behavior. You want her to make peace first? Stop making it so easy for her to win through drama. Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. When you reward calm, rational discussion with engagement and attention, you get more of that. When you reward drama with submission and apologies, you get more drama. It's basic behavioral psychology. You need to reallocate your energy. Instead of spending hours attempting to fix her mood after a manufactured fight, spend that energy creating something amazing for both of you. Plan an adventure. Create an experience. Build something together. Women are drawn to builders and creators, men who make things happen. When you're stuck in apology mode, you're in reactive mode. You're not building anything. You're just trying to prevent destruction. That is not attractive. It is pathetic. The successful entrepreneur whose wife creates drama about him working too much should not apologize and promise to work less. He should say, "I am building this for our future. I work hard during work hours, and I am fully present during our time together. I will not apologize for being ambitious." Watch how quickly she becomes his biggest supporter when he demonstrates that his purpose is non-negotiable and yet inclusive of her future. The discussion must also touch upon the role of sex after a fight. Many couples experience their most intense sex after conflict because the adrenaline, dopamine, and even a residual level of tension enhance the physical response. But here's the trap. If you apologize first and then have make-up sex, you are locking in the destructive pattern. Drama right arrow, submission, dull. sex. The new pattern, the powerful pattern, is your composure, your initiative, better sex. You maintain your frame, refuse to submit, and then initiate sex from a position of strength, showing that you are not affected by the drama, but you still powerfully desire her. You are rewriting the script, and this is incredibly exciting to women because it's strong, unexpected, and truly masculine. Furthermore, you must recognize when a woman is using offense and drama as a way to create distance. Sometimes she wants space, and instead of articulating that honestly, she creates conflict to justify pulling away. If you constantly apologize and pursue her in these moments, you're actually pushing her further away. The correct counter-response is to give her more distance than she's asking for. She wants space? Give her an ocean. Go live your life. Pursue your interests. She will either realize she misses you and come back to a place of harmony, or she won't, and you will have the clarity to move on. Some women are simply addicted to drama. They grew up in chaos, they've been in chaotic relationships, and for them, peace feels like a death sentence. For these women, you have two choices. Accept the constant emotional roller coaster and learn to surf those waves without drowning, or leave and find someone who values peace as much as you do. You cannot apologize your way to peace. You will simply fill a bottomless pit. When you stop apologizing for everything, one of two powerful things will happen. Either she respects you more, and the relationship improves dramatically, or she can't handle your lack of controllability, and she leaves. Either way, you win. If she stays, you have a stronger relationship built on mutual respect rather than your submission. If she leaves because she can't control you, you are free to find a woman who values you for who you are, not for how much you submit. The key to unlocking this strength is the stress-free response. When you respond from a place of panic, you make bad decisions. When you respond from a place of calm, you see clearly. This calm is not innate. It is a muscle you must train. Every time you maintain your composure while she's losing hers, you build that muscle stronger. Every conflict becomes information, not just a source of discomfort. It tells you about her needs, her fears, her manipulation tactics, and her emotional patterns. When you apologize immediately, you are throwing away that information. You are saying, "I don't want to understand what's happening. I just want the discomfort to stop." That is the definition of weakness. Instead, lean into the conflict with curiosity. Interesting, she's upset about this. What's the real core issue? Here is the most important mindset shift you need to make, the one that ties this entire lesson together. You have trained her to know that you will always make peace first. Now you must break that pattern. Breaking it will be uncomfortable. Conflicts will last longer. She might give you the silent treatment for days. She might threaten to leave. This is the final escalating test to see if you will revert to your old pattern of submission. If you crumble, you reinforce that her tactics work, and they will only escalate next time. If you stand your ground, if you continue living your life, if you maintain your composure, she will begin to respect you again. She will start seeing you as a man, not a boy she can control with her emotions. And yes, eventually, she will make peace first. Not because you forced her, but because she realizes her drama no longer gets rewarded. She realizes that if she wants your attention, your affection, and your energy, she needs to approach you as an adult, not as a child throwing a tantrum. It may take days, it may take weeks, but if the relationship has any real foundation, she will come around. When she does, receive her warmly. Don't gloat, don't say "I told you so." Simply move forward. The secret is consistency. You cannot be strong one day and weak the next. She is always testing, always probing for weakness, not out of malice, but because she needs to know her man is truly solid. Every time you maintain your composure, every time you don't apologize for manufactured drama, you build her respect for you, and respect is the non-negotiable foundation of lasting attraction. She fell for the man who was confident, who had his own life, who was not desperately trying to please her. By constantly apologizing, you became someone else. By returning to your original strength, you become the man she actually wants. So the next time there is a fight and she's waiting for you to come crawling, remember this. Assess the situation objectively. If you are legitimately wrong, acknowledge and correct. If she is manufacturing drama, do not engage with it. Maintain your composure. Continue living your life. Watch how the entire dynamic of your relationship shifts when you stop apologizing for being a man, when you stop apologizing for having boundaries, and when you start being the rock she can rely on, the strength she can respect, and the man she truly wants to be with. That is the real secret to handling conflict, and the true path to a relationship built on respect, which is the only path to genuine love. Choose strength, choose composure, choose self-respect, and watch how everything changes the next time she won't make peace first. That is your opportunity. Use it wisely.